The voices of New Brunswick's writers are the heart of Wordcraft, a podcast aimed at creating community through words. Wordcraft is a new addition to the professional development branch of programming made available by the Writers' Federation of New Brunswick, a non-profit organization that aims to nurture a sense of community among New Brunswick writers, with a mandate to develop and sustain professional skills and opportunities for New Brunswick writers, while raising public awareness of engagement in the unique culture of writing, storytelling, and literature in New Brunswick. The WFNB acknowledges that the land on which we live, work, and gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Wolastoq and Mi'kmaq peoples. We honor the spirit of our ancestors' treaties of peace and friendship. Wordcraft is hosted by Jenna Morton and produced by Tosh Taylor of the Podcast Hub. We acknowledge the support of the Canadian Council for the Arts.
I think as a writer, you feel that if nobody's reading what you're writing, there's a piece of the process missing. As an actor, as a photographer, as some of the other things I've done, there's always implicit in that there's an audience. But when you're a writer, you are alone. The reader completes the act.
I've actually kind of taken a little break lately from doing a lot of writing. And as you can probably tell, I'm more of a random creative person than maybe your typical writer, because I like to dabble in other things, in music and production and stuff like that. I'm still hoping that I learn, the every day at 7 a.m. thing or whatever, I haven't quite figured that out yet.
Just sort of knowing that I have this thing to come back to. I think what's brought me back to it is the fact that of all the things that I do that are fulfilling career-wise, writing is probably the main one. It's the most fulfilling, even though it's the one that I probably have the least time for. So it's been sort of a magnet that's always brought me back to it.
The truth of it is that if you're a writer, if you're a storyteller, you have to write and you have to tell the stories. Make them for yourself. Tell them for yourself. So don't worry too much about who's going to read it down the road. When you start worrying, that's when the writer's block happens. So worry about the art, worry about the craft first. Make something that gives you joy.
So it was just like, yeah, dive in, right? I didn't want to do music anymore. So what am I going to do? Go back and get a real job? Nah, screw that. I'm gonna finally learn how to write a novel, which was really hard. So it's like really hard. I'm not gonna sit here to tell anybody, man, writing's easy. Whoa, I told you script writing was easy. It is easy compared to writing a novel. Wow.
We'll also have conversations about the emotional side of putting your work out, that it's being vulnerable. That's a challenge. I don't know many people who don't feel that in putting their work out into the world. And, there's not much to be done about that, but I think acknowledging it to each other can be helpful, acknowledging that there's a risk and then, giving ourselves a pat on the back for taking that risk.
Wordcraft is a project by the non-profit Writers' Federation of New Brunswick. The show is hosted and produced by Jenna Morton, with technical production by Tosh Taylor. We acknowledge the support of the Canadian Council for the Arts. The Writers' Federation of New Brunswick acknowledges that the land on which we live, work, and gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Wolastoq and Mi'kmaq peoples. We honor the spirit of our ancestors' treaties of peace and friendship.